Few phrases strike tons of concern into the hearts of traders as this phrase does for younger investors. It sounds like a frightening fantasy that is used to warn younger youth on Wall Street. But the veteran traders who stay through the hard days recognize simply how unsafe monster inflation can be. With humans like Warren Buffett, Bill Ackman, and Charlie Munger warning of an impending excessive inflation market, it is time that we take a deeper dive into what precisely we can do to put together ourselves. According to the Bureau of Statistics, the annual inflation charge in the U.S. surged to 6.2% in October of 2021, the perfect in view that November of 1990 and above forecasts of 5.8%. This scenario is no longer perfect as buyers can efficaciously develop cash in that duration, on the grounds that the duo of taxes and inflation gobbles up everything. When the satisfactory buyers sound warning bells, we have no desire, however, to hear and attempt to analyze what we can. It's in that spirit that I've made this video in a bid to assist novices be aware of how to earnings from the oncoming inflation wave. So let's get proper into it. Ways to generate tens of millions all through inflation intervals purchase stocks. When fees commenced accelerating in the past this year, some experts, which include the Oracle of Omaha, sounded the alarm. To now, not solely insulate you, however, provide you hundreds of thousands to boot. Let's get proper into the criteria. Invest in agencies that require low capital to build profits and develop operations. The shares in your portfolio ought to share that require low capital to preserve operations and salary growth. These consist of the likes of private favorites of investor Michael Burry, Kraft Heinz, Facebook, and Google. Consumer staples and tech businesses generally require much less upfront capital to run their systems. There are execs and cons to each kind of funding hedge, simply as there are professionals and cons with each and every kind of investment. The most important gain of investing all through inflation, of course, is to maintain your portfolio's shopping for power. The 2D motive is that you choose to hold your nest egg growing. It can additionally lead you to diversify, which is continually well worth considering. Spreading the threat throughout a range of holdings is a universal technique of portfolio building that is as relevant to inflation-fighting techniques as it is to asset growth strategies. However, the inflation tail need to in no way wag the funding dog. If you have particular desires or timetables for your funding plan, do not swerve from them. As an example, do not weigh your portfolio too closely with TIP if it requires full-size capital appreciation. Also, do not purchase long-term GOOM shares if your want for retirement earnings is imminent. An obsession with inflation needs to in no way get you out of your risk tolerance remedy zone. There are no guarantees. Traditional inflation hedges don't usually work, and special financial prerequisites from time to time supply exquisite consequences to stunning property whilst leaving what appear to be positive winners trailing in the dust. They can increase their costs as inflation increases, and some agencies generate a lot of money wafted or inventory like Sanderson Farm. They can without problems elevate the fees of Rooster alongside with inflation, and they can preserve January 18 excessive quantities of money flow. So it is these sorts of shares you'll prefer to choose more if we are to see excessive inflation in the future. So do not get me wrong, when inflation is high, it can be a wretched time when it comes to your finances, as Thomas Sowell said. Here are the pinnacle 3 techniques to assist you to fear much less about the have an effect on your price range, or even assist you to come out beforehand whilst inflation flares. 1. Increase the power of your income. When inflation flares up, you can suppose it in 2 simple ways. One is that costs are increasing, and the other is that the greenback is dropping value. Either way, you seem to be at it. Income extra cash is an exceedingly secure solution. If you're out of work or one of the hundreds of thousands of humans leaving their jobs in the Great Resignation, reflect on consideration on the use of anything more downtime you have to improve your skill set and roll yourself for a larger paycheck. 2. Play the inventory market. Stocks have traditionally outperformed inflation to an enormous degree, making them one of the strongest hedges in opposition to high-flying prices. You can use inflation to your gain with the aid of investing in sectors of the financial system that can also advantage of rising prices, which include food, technology, construction materials, and energy. 3. Capitalize on the sizzling actual property market. Real property has been verified to be one of the most dependable long-term funding platforms you can make. The U.S. housing market has been on a serious upward trajectory in latest years. If you're equipped to purchase your first home, or already own a residence and prefer to alternate up, evaluate loan providers to discover your high-quality rate. Mortgage costs are nevertheless traditionally low. The common 30-year domestic mortgage these days fell under 3% again. The lowest loan prices have a tendency to go to the debtors with the best savings scores, so do what you can to elevate your credit score rating a few notches.